What to eat with Hare and Hare intermittent fasting. That's something I'm going to talk about today, so stick around. Hi, my name is Sachiaki Takamiya. I am the author of the Ikigai Diet and the founder of this diet. Right. So in the last few videos, I have been sharing with you different methods of Hare and Hare intermittent fasting. Yeah, I talked about Hare and Hare autophagy fasting and Hare and Hare gut cleansing autophagy fasting and Hare and Hare alternate day fasting. Now, whatever the fasting method you practice, the key is what to eat during your eating windows, right? So if you do 16 hours or 17 hours fast, you probably have 2 meals a day. And if you do 24 hours fast, you have 1 meal a day. And those 2 meals and 1 meal are very important. I mean, what to eat during that time is critical, right? So that's what I'm going to share with you today. All right, so what to eat during the eating window. Now, there are several elements to look into. The first element is the nutritional balance. Yeah, you need to be careful about your nutritional balance. Because you have only 2 meals or 1 meal a day, you need to think of the balance within each meal. A lot more than when you have 3 meals a day. Yeah. And now some people like to do like low carb diet or low fat or, low protein and so on. But from the point of view of the Ikigai diet, yeah, you don't want to cut anything. You just want to have every nutrient, whether it's protein, fat, carbs, vitamins, and mineral. You want to have the balance of all of them. And I am talking about a diet that you continue for a long time. I mean, some of you may have a special condition at the moment, and you do want to have certain things to accomplish, like such as losing weight. And then maybe it's okay to go on a low carb diet for a while. But to continue your diet for a long time, it is crucial to include all kinds of nutrients. Yeah, therefore, I am not interested in the idea of cutting down certain nutrients. Yeah, the balance is important, right? And when you have protein, you want to have plant-based protein during the week if you want to practice Hare and Hare intermittent fasting, because during the week is a K period. Yeah, and you want to stay vegetarian as much as possible. And for fat, you would like to have omega-3 oils, such as flaxseed oil, because you tend to have omega-6 oil, omega-6 fat a lot. So to balance, you need more omega-3 type of oils. Yeah. Usually the ratio between omega-6 and omega-3 somewhere around 1.5 and 1 and 3 to 1. So you can still have more omega-6, but you need a lot of omega-3 because you get a lot of omega-6 from regular Western diet, right? And the second element to consider is you want to practice what I call Japanese Blue Zones diet and Shizenha diet. Now, Japanese Blue Zones diet are the diet of the long-lived villages in Japan that Dr. Shoji Kondo discovered long time ago, and the current long-lived prefectures in Japan, which are Nagano, Shiga, and Okinawa. And Shizenha diet is the diet practiced by Shizenha people. Shizenha people are Japanese naturalists, and they basically inherited the authentic traditional Japanese natural diet. Yeah. In other words, they also practice the natural food, the Japanese natural food, which are passed down in the Japanese natural food movement, right? Okay, now the element in the Japanese Blue Zones diet and Shizenha diet are fermented foods, yeah, with a lot of fermented foods in Japan, and organic, yeah. Usually, centenarians tend to grow their own vegetables and rice, and they tend to be organic. And Shizenha people, especially, they eat only organic food, okay? And then a lot of fiber, yeah. In the long-lived villages that Dr. Shoji Kondo discovered, the key food they ate were soybeans, vegetables, and seaweeds. They all contain a lot of fiber. And Shindo Fuji and Ichibutsu Zen Taishoku, these are the concepts from Shojin diet, which was practiced in Zen monasteries, right? And Shindo Fuji means eating locally and eating seasonally, yeah? And Ichibutsu Zen Taishoku means eating food as a whole, such as eating whole grain, or when you eat fish, eating small fish because you can eat it as a whole, rather than eating a part of a big fish, yeah? And plant-based, yes, the Japanese natural food movement, yeah, valued a plant-based diet. It doesn't mean you cannot eat meat at all, but yeah, basically you base your food plant, yeah, but you can eat a little bit of fish and meat, yeah. And then mago wa yasashi ko. Okay, that's something I'm going to explain next. So mago wa yasashi ko means ma beans, go nuts and seeds, wa seaweeds, ya vegetables, sa fish, si mushrooms, I potato groups such as sweet potatoes and taros, ko grains, right? Now, mago wa yasashi ko provides you the nutritional balance I was talking about, yeah? So beans and nuts and seeds, a good protein source, and you want to have both of them, especially if you are sourcing your protein from plant-based. You want to have different kind of amino acid, and beans and nuts and seeds have different kind of amino acids, so you can kind of balance by eating both of them. And seaweeds, seaweeds are a good source of omega-3, and so is fish, yeah. And also seaweeds is one of the key ingredients among the people in the long-lived villages in Japan. And vegetables, yeah, vitamins, minerals, and mushrooms too. And then, by the way, all those food like grains, potatoes, mushrooms, vegetables, seaweed, nuts and seeds, beans contain a lot of fiber. They are fiber-rich ingredients, and you want to have diverse fiber to feed your diverse gut microbiomes. Yes, diversity is the key. Try to eat all kinds of beans, not only soybeans, but maybe azuki beans and kidney beans and so on. Try to eat all kinds of nuts and seeds, all kinds of vegetables and so on. Yes. All right, for fish. Now, some of you are probably a vegetarian or vegan and you don't like the idea of eating fish, then you don't have to. But the reason why I recommend fish is because, as I said, it is a great source of omega-3 fatty acid, yeah? And when you eat fish, you can eat small fish or wild-caught fish, yeah? Because from Ichibutsu Zentai-shoku point of view, which means eating food as a whole, small fish is better because you can eat the whole fish, yeah, which contains all kind of nutrient plus the all energy, yeah, rather than eating a part of a big fish. For example, when you eat sardine, you can eat the whole fish, but when you eat maybe tuna, you don't eat the whole tuna, you just cut the tuna and eat only a part of it, right? So it's better to eat small fish and better to eat wild-caught fish. Wild-caught fish is better because if you eat farmed fish, sometimes they contain antibiotics and so on, yeah? And there's another reason for eating small fish. That is, they contain less heavy metals and radiation, yeah, from the food chain point of view. Okay, so whole grains, yeah, when you eat grains, it is critical to eat whole grains, not refined grains, yeah, such as brown rice, whole wheat, barley, buckwheat, oats, and native grains such as millet, right? And there is one grain I recommend very much, and that is fermented brown rice. So I have a blog post which tells you how to make fermented brown rice, and I'll put the link below so you can read it later. But if you learn how to make fermented brown rice, this is excellent grain to have because it is also fermented. And now I will share with you some examples of type of menu you can make for lunch and dinner. And for lunch, you can first have Ichiju Sansai, which means 1 soup, 3 dishes. Yeah, Ichiju Sansai is usually you have a bowl of rice and a bowl of miso soup and a bowl of pickles and 3 side dishes. And for those 3 side dishes, 1 should be protein based and 2 should be vegetable based. Yeah, so this way you get to have plenty of vegetables and it is a very balanced meal. You have a protein, carbs, vegetables, yeah, and a lot of minerals and vitamins from vegetables too, right? For example, you can have a bowl of fermented brown rice, yeah, and a miso soup and pickles. And for side dishes, you may want to have salad with raw vegetables and nuts. Now, so this has nut protein, which is a little different from beans, right? And then raw vegetables got a lot of enzymes, and you can use some omega-3 oil, yeah, in your dressing, yeah, so that you can get some omega-3, and you can have steamed vegetable with beans. So this time you get beans, and to cook, it is better to steam than fry, yeah. So when you use oil, it's better not to fry the oil. So you steam vegetable, then you can add omega-3 oil in or on the vegetables, yeah, right. And you can have vinegared vegetables, yeah. And vinegar is very good to slow down the rising of your blood sugar level. And for dinner, you can have Ichiju Sansai style again, and then you may want to have a fermented brown rice, miso soup, pickles, and stewed vegetables, a natto dish. Now, natto is a fermented soybeans, but I recommend it the most. Yeah, this is the king of the superfood. This is the king of fermented food. And then natto contains the highest amount of spermidine. Spermidine is supposed to activate autophagy. Yeah, and usually spermidine is in all kinds of fermented food, but natto has the highest amount. And if you want, you can have natto dish for lunch too. Yeah, maybe in fact, it's better to have natto both for lunch and dinner. But if you can only have natto once a day, better to have it at night, because an enzyme called natto kinase works 10 to 12 hours after eating natto, and it is better to make it work during your sleep. Yeah. And seasoned vegetables. Yeah. So vinegared vegetables, stewed vegetables, and seasoned vegetables are very common way of preparing food in Japan. Yeah. That's called nimono, sunomono, and aemono. And I all put everything in my book. Yeah. And on the weekend, yeah, so the lunch and dinner I described is during the week. And on weekend, you can include some animal product. Well, for fish, if you want, you can maybe have it during the week too. Like in my case, I usually have fish on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I have a plant-based diet on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But on the weekend, I have some chicken, fish, cheese, and eggs. But I choose free-range chicken and free-range eggs. So you can avoid factory farmed meat. And you can do that if you limit it to only on the weekend, and you can afford a little more expensive meat, right? And also the weekend is a Hare period. Yeah, Hare is the time to celebrate, the time to enjoy, time to relax. Yeah, Ke is more like a disciplined period, right? So you don't practice intermittent fasting either. You have 3 meals a day, and then you can relax and enjoy more. So you can have alcohol, for example, and you can have red wine or shochu or whiskey. Now, shochu and whiskey don't have any sugar. Therefore, it is better than beer, which has a lot of sugar. Yeah, and red wine doesn't have so much sugar. Wine is considered to have a lot of health benefit, such as having resveratrol. These are just an example of the menu you can have for your lunch and dinner during the week and on the weekend. Yeah, but I mean, you can arrange a little bit because you want to eat all kinds of beans and vegetables, and some days you want to have fish instead of beans or nuts, and some days you want to have sweet potatoes or taros instead of fermented brown rice and so on. So the idea is to cover mago wa yasashi ko as much as possible each week. So you can kind of design your menu weekly. Yeah, you can sort of rotate the menu, including all kinds of, beans, vegetables, and carbs, and so on, right? Okay, so to sum up, yeah, what to eat during the eating window, you need to consider the nutritional balance, and you want to practice Japanese Blue Zones diet and Shizenha diet. All right, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Again, my name is Sachiaki Takamiya, the author of the Ikigai Diet. Now, if you want to know more detail about the menu for lunch and dinner, I put everything here on chapter 13, Ikigai Diet menus in the book. So please read the book. And if you like this video, please give me your thumb up and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video. Live with your Ikigai.